Dun, 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 dun,
FBG Live. Local sheep. Bah.
Well, good evening, and welcome to the Republic of Texas Radio. I'm your host, Steve OBrien, broadcasting you from, well, Fredericksburg, Texas. Well, we like to talk about a lot of stuff over on FBG Live. You can visit our site at fbglive.com. Hey, this show is really all about the Republic of Texas, the actual republic that reformed itself and, well, is working to regain its independence. You can find out a lot of information about the Republic of Texas by, well, listening to this show and by going over to thetexasrepublic.com. It's indexed in a way that you'll be able to find out useful information and so forth. We've actually, 2015's been very good for the Republic of Texas. We've been talking to a lot of different people about independence, a lot of interviews with foreign countries. You know, they're kind of interested in freedom and liberty around the globe. And, you know, Texas kind of breaking away. That's curious. What do you know about Texas? Hey, at the end of this show, well, actually more like the second part of this show, we're going to be talking about the lineage of Texas, the land we call Texas. You know, before it was Spanish and before, well, we're not going to talk too much about before it was Spanish. We'll talk a little bit about when it was Mexico and a whole deal about 2005 going forward. Who were the, well, last presidents of the United States before? United States. Who cares about the United States? I believe, you know, the corporate U.S. has Barack Obama right now, but we have John Jarnecke. He's the president of the Republic of Texas, and we'll get into a couple of the other presidents, and we'll see how that goes. But I want to start off this show and go into a little bit of news of what is actually going on in the Republic of Texas. They got together on March 14th and, you know, held another joint session. The joint session had to deal with a little bit of business and, you know, what was going on. And, yeah, that was quite a beginning. You know, back in the Valentine's Day raid, they started the show, and all of a sudden, cops came at them from everywhere. Multi-jurisdictional task force comes in, boom, boom, boom. Okay, everybody, they took a bunch of stuff and all that. This time, well, it got off a little bit bumpy, too. And check this out. Had a little problem with the power cord. Uh-oh. Losing my audio. Yeah, sorry, folks. This is kind of like a test run for all of our equipment and working with the new format. We'll get that straightened out. So as we opened the, well, last joint session of Congress, sparks flew.
Whoa. Uh-oh.
Yeah, that's a heck of a way of starting things. You see, the congressional session opens with the Speaker of the House, and at least in a joint session, bringing things into order, and they were going through and wanted to talk to people. Somebody stepped on a extension cord that was poorly put together, and, well, zap, zap, zap. It was kind of a neat little way to deal with stuff, and I just really wanted to find some way of playing that clip. I guess I did. But the next thing that came on order, the president of the Republic of Texas, John Jarnecke, he had to address the joint session and just to talk a little bit about the stuff that's been going on since Valentine's Day. You know, he had a lot of words to share. You can visit the republicoftexas.com and go to the full audio interview there. You know, just follow the links. But I wanted to share a little clip about it because I found the international interest to be the most important thing that I've been hearing, you know, from people's lips, because international recognition is actually what the Republic of Texas is currently going for. They're going for to the international community to say, hey, we don't want to be part of the United States. There's a lot of reasons, and that was kind of the theme, kind of always is the theme. Let's go to John Jarnecke where he talks about the media real quick.
The interesting point, one of the interviews that I did was with an Italian radio station. Now, I say interesting because the man would say something in Italian, he'd come back in English and ask me a question, I would answer it, he would interpret it into Italian, and go back and forth and back and forth. I have never done anything like that before. That's why I say it was very interesting. And this went on for about 20 minutes, and it was a live feed into Italy at that time. Our story has been written up in Pravda in Russia. So many sources, and part of our goal has been to get our message to the international community.
Yeah, we'll hear more about that as we go along. But there's definitely been a lot of international interest. That was not the last interview that John Jarnecke actually had, that he had to deal with an interpreter between, himself and, the foreign news agencies. Okay, get your composure, Steve. Hey, there was a media group, and they're still interested, and they're kind of like talking to a few people within the Republic of Texas about doing some kind of a series or mini-series on the Republic of Texas. Now, the lady's name is, I'm going to hope I get this right. It's Rebecca Shankula. And it's spelled really crazy. I kind of like that crazy. But anyway, so she works with True Entertainment, and they produce all this kind of stuff. And they heard the story from, the newspaper, and they said, well, hey, maybe there's a story there. And there is a story. We'll see what kind of story you can actually tell out of this. Where is the Republic of Texas nowadays? Well, as we can tell, there's a whole bunch of interest in people, being free and all this other stuff. But during the meeting that we were having, this March 14th joint session, one of the people asked a very pertinent question, and my ears popped up, is because it's one of my favorite questions. Now, this was during the time where the Chief Justice, Ray Cannon, was going on a dissertation outlining how he believes that, we will achieve, and some background into other international events that allowed one group of individuals to separate from another group of individuals. He talks about Ukraine, and you go on and on and on. Okay, I get it, and it's all highfalutin and all this other stuff. But still, there is the one international question that kind of trumps them all. Have a listen. I'd love to hear what you have to say on this. You can email me at any time. You'd get me at steve@therepublicoftexas.com, or you can send an email to fbglive@gmail.com if you have any questions regarding anything Republic of Texas or whatever, man. Anyways, here's what I like to call the international question. Let's talk about it when I'm done.
I have a question. It was presented in the interview by Darren Weeks to Ed Brannon. And I also got the same question driving up here with McWade. That is, why the heck are you going to the international courts? Aren't they part of the UN, which has the UN Agenda 21? Now, that's the stupidest thing I ever heard of, That's where they're coming from. And I think you answered the question, but I think here amongst this wonderful group, but the people in general outside this room are going to be thinking, these guys are barking up the wrong tree. These are evil people, the international community. And what kind of court are you going to get a fair case in? Aren't they part of the globalists and the robber barons and all these people? So I think we need a press release on that issue especially, because it came up on radio, it came up on the drive up here. I think that's one of the biggest barriers that people are going to see is to, what are you guys up to? You don't know what you're talking about.
Yeah? Do we know what we're talking about? Actually, that question was lobbied at Ray Cannon after he'd actually talked about that. The problem is, it's really hard to say, well, we're going to go to the international community and ask them to go ahead and deal with all these treaty violations and, human rights violations and represent a people and help them get free, when Agenda 21 and a lot of the let's say, workings of the United Nations are to take control and centralize government around the world. Are they going to let you be free? Well, I don't know. That was the question that was posed to, that I posed to the first time somebody told me about the Republic of Texas and said, well, hey, they're going to free Texas by going to the internet. I said, are you kidding me? Well, I've somewhat changed my stance on that, and I'm good to deal with this whole international stance. That's not the only stance and the only route that Texas can actually become a free nation. You got to be doing something to achieve freedom and liberty and independence for your country. In my case, I see Texas is a country. Texas existed up until 1846, and then it was re-inhabited back in, 2005. They pulled it out of abatement, and now I'm getting ahead of myself, but we're coming right around the corner. We have some news that we need to, to deal with. So this interim government we call the Republic of Texas, it's trying to get a whole bunch of stuff done and, move along with, business as usual. Business as usual was taken down on Valentine's Day, where they kind of wrecked the meeting and took a bunch of people's stuff. We don't know. I don't know that all the stuff got back. A lot of it didn't have names, and there was a huge pile of stuff. So this meeting on March 14th, 2015, let me just get into a little bit of what happened during the meeting. Well, they appointed a couple people. Sally Jarnecke was appointed as Undersecretary of Survival. Now, I still don't exactly know what that is, and I'm going to have to talk to Sally Jarnecke and figure out exactly what her role in the universe is and what are her responsibilities. It kind of... I don't know any of this stuff, but I know what I see and I know what I'm told. Also, Ray Cannon, he reaffirmed his oath as Chief Justice of the Republic. Yeah, he's already been here for quite some time, and I don't know really all of his whole story. I've heard him talk a few times, and he can talk, and he makes some sense, and that's good. They also had another addition to the Senate, and that was Shawn Dorn. She's going to be a senator for District 7. Now, Shawn was appointed by the president of the Republic of Texas. This is a temporary deal until there can be a election, held. And so next time they're going to issue a writ of election, and, then she can run for office and see if she can get voted in. But Shawn seems pretty level-headed. We'll see. And then we also had, I don't make out her name. Let's just go with Ada. Ada is now going to be the Undersecretary of Disaster Security and Recovery. Wow, that's some name. Let's do it again. Undersecretary of Disaster Security and Recovery. She actually abbreviated it and said we can call it DSR. Okay, that's fine, Ada. So what does this disaster recovery and security thing do? I don't know. This is one that I'm going to have to follow up on, and maybe I'll bring you the audio next week. We can talk a little bit more with Ada and figure out where she's going and what's actually her task. There's quite a few conversations that need to be addressed. And that kind of leads me down this path. The Republic of Texas is not a group. It's not an organization. It's not a corporation. It exists within the boundaries of the United States of America, more accurately, the corporate United States boundaries. It's the Republic of Texas is a government, and it's occupied by residents of Texas. We defined Texas, the old boundaries of Texas, before it entered the Union. Now, doing business when you're in an occupied territory is kind of tough because, well, in order to do, let's say, bank account and that kind of stuff, you gotta be part of the United States, have something or other to do that. Maybe you can get an international bank account, maybe. There's been a lot of stuff going on. I might be getting ahead of myself, but this is going to be quite an interesting subject. Let's play the clip. This is Tom O'Halloran talking a little bit about a project to get finances to the Republic of Texas, allowing us to have something on our website that will instantly allow you to make donations back to the Republic of Texas. The Republic of Texas needs funds. You can help out at thetexasrepublic.com. Let me just play the clip. Let's hear what Tom has to say.
I spoke with Billy Ford, the Secretary of State Billy Ford, earlier this week, or late last week, I think it was. Got the bank account information that I would need to connect the Dwala account to it. I went to the Dwala account and got the information that I needed. They wanted Social Security number, ID, blah, 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 blah. Billy Ford was not inclined to give up his Social Security for this.
Okay. So, to be clear, the Dwala account that he referred to is kind of a key point. Unless you're able to bring in income, then you're not going to be doing too much. Now, we have a website that's being managed by, currently it's in good hands with Tom O'Halloran. But it still needs to be able to fund itself. This has been
I spoke with Billy Ford, the Secretary of State Billy
Ford. That's a ghost in the machine. Sorry, folks, just working out little kinks. Okay, so you got to be able to fund things. Dwala was seen to be a way of putting a donate thing on the button. But in order to do Dwala, you had to do an LLC. So they went to New Mexico and formed an LLC, got a tax ID number for the LLC, and then they have to submit it to Dwala to do their business or whatever. And then they said, well, no, I don't think so. You want to give me a Social Security number? We might want to talk to you. Well, that's kind of where we're at. There's another avenue that can be gone down, and I'll find some more on that. We'll cover this a little bit more. Getting funding to the Republic of Texas is critical, and being able to do banking. One of the areas that I've always thought that would be a good way to transact some kind of income is, well, Bitcoin. A lot of people in the Republic of Texas aren't into Bitcoin, don't even know what a Bitcoin is. But it's a means to transfer funds from one place to the other. You can take gold, turn it into Bitcoin, turn Bitcoin back into gold. It don't matter. You can do the same with Federal Reserve notes, euros, whatnot. We'll hear more about that as we go on. I know a lot of the people that are in this kind of movement aren't into digital currencies. But I think decentralized finances are definitely interesting. Okay. Tom O'Halloran was originally scheduled to become the webmaster the day of the Valentine's Day raid. He was going to give a presentation on, what he's doing and why. Well, that never happened, so I want to give him 2 more seconds, even though we just heard his voice. Let's go ahead and hear what he has to say about the website.
For those of you who don't know me, my name's Tom O'Halloran. In addition to being your General Land Commissioner, I'm also now your webmaster. When I was asked to do this, or actually I asked and they said maybe, I didn't want to make changes to the old website because my ideas were rather radical from where the website was. So what I did was I built a parallel website with all of the data that was on the old one. The first problem that I had was with the issue of texasrepublic.info. It doesn't have the respect that even a company deserves, let alone a nation. So I registered thetexasrepublic.com, and I built the website over there. My intent was last month to give the presentation, show you the new website, and let you talk about it and decide if you wanted to go with it. Something happened last week.
Yep, something happened last week. Well, actually, it was last month. But sometimes we get things a little bit off. That never happens to me, right? Again, you're listening to Texas Republic Radio. I'm your host, Steve OBrien. We only have an hour, so I'm going to kind of get through this really quick. A lot of these clips that I'm playing for you guys, you can go to thetexasrepublic.com and you can find a lot of that information. They're in the meeting notes and meeting minutes type, audio section, as you will. There's a few hours going on. I actually think there was 5 hours worth of audio that I had to parse through. Some of it just was not recoverable. I could barely even hear it, so I can't actually play some of it for you guys. A lot of times recordings go out. That's why I run primaries and secondary backups and blah, blah, blah. And hey, things fail early on in the endeavor, but I do encourage you to go back and look through the meeting minutes and the audio and maybe listen to what happened. There is an upcoming meeting. Let me just get that information. It's always the second Saturday of every month. Usually starts around 9:30. It's at different places all the time. Now, this location will be at the Silver Eagle Tap House, and it's at Farm to Market Road, 725, McQueenie, Texas. And go over to thetexasrepublic.com. You'll be able to see the address, the time, click on it, get yourself a map, do whatever. But if you're not able to get to Texas, or you're not able to drive the 4 hours each way that it seems like they scheduled that trip, especially for me. No matter what it is, they force me to drive 4 hours, and I just don't know how they can keep up on the math. But I don't care too much, something just needs to be done. So we go. You can go to the TexasRepublic.com website next Saturday, and you'll be able to see a live stream. Now, Ron Avery Live Streams, and Morton Falls Publishing are actually going to be producing the stream. Last week's stream was just me and FBG Live and some of our older equipment that isn't up to the par. Now, Ron Avery, he has some good stuff. I don't know if you're familiar with Ron Avery and his live stream, but he does a very excellent job at, sharing the truth about freedom and liberty. And I, for one, am happy that Ron's going to be there and taking up the streams. Okay, let's get back to the meeting. And this is part of a clip that I didn't actually, I didn't get good audio for. Now, Bob Miller had pointed out to the entire crowd that there's a lot of verbiage still left into the Constitution that needs to be changed. Now, anytime somebody says they want to change a constitution, I get very gun shy. And I go, what are you doing and why and what's so important? And I'm going to be asking that for a bit. And I asked that a lot. Ray Cannon at one point stood up and said, if you're going to be touching that Constitution, I'm going to be following you, like a dog. And you better adhere to the Constitution on how you can change the Constitution. I'm going like, I still don't know the reason why. Right, and I'm okay. It's for some words and some loopholes, and maybe things need to be hacked out, and we'll get to that. We will get to that. Well, at current, you can go to thetexasrepublic.com and join the Constitution Revision Committee. The Constitution Revision Committee will go through the Constitution and try to point out little errors where it could be loopholes, to cause the fall of a republic. Has a republic ever fallen before? One of the memes that was echoed in the show was the fact that, look, we're getting close to getting on the track. The rubber's almost on the road, and you need to get in there and seal a few of those holes. Now, from what I've been told and what I know so far, the process of opening up the Constitution is a 2-year process. The first year will be, everybody coming to agreement, the House, the Senate, saying that we need to do it. And, they go into the other groups, right? Within the Republic of Texas, you have 4 distinct groups. One, the judiciary, one, the Senate, the House, and the Executive Committee. I'm going to be interested to see how this process actually works out. But the Senate and the House, they're going to have to go through it 2 years in a row. That's because the House representatives only serve for a single year. So anything they put in has to be, the following year, it has to be re-ratified or it starts all over again. This is the way that it's set up so nobody can actually shoehorn some things in. I elected a majority. I think we should all eat fish on Tuesday. Well, I think that's don't eat fish on Friday, but whatever. This is important. This is very important. And we're going to get to the root of what exactly is going on. Seems like they're about to start the journey to 2 years of, hold discussions and see if it's a good idea of opening up. Another reason that Ray Cannon objected to the whole thing was because, the Republic of Texas doesn't have full representation across all the districts and jurisdictions. You can run for your particular House or Senate seat or, judiciary by visiting thetexasrepublic.com. We even need just normal people, people in Texas, right? I've declared that I'm in Texas and I'm a free man, and they call me a Friendster. No, they call me a Texian. I have a hard time with labels, so, man, forgive me if I balk at that one. Can I call myself a Texan? No, I don't know, man. Words are words. But the Constitution, it's being looked at. Now, this isn't the first time that the Republic of Texas's Constitution had to be amended. Back in 2005, the Republic of Texas came out of abatement, and some of the shortcomings of it needed to be addressed. Women serving as president of Texas and black people, the right to vote. Am I supposed to be more politically correct than saying black people? God, probably should. Don't know what to say, though. Okay. So yeah, we're getting through the Constitution thing. It was a good meeting. You should come next week. That's kind of all I had for news, at least this week. I'm sure there's something lost in this stack of papers that are, seem to grow all the time. And there's got to be an interesting point that I've missed somewhere. if you have an interesting point of what exactly you feel we should be talking to, you can email me at steve@thetexasrepublic.com or at fbglive.com. Now, the last part that I wanted to get into, and hey, I'm actually keeping right on track of my goal for this show, which kind of amazes me because I can never tell how much information that I have to get out there and how much I'm not going to get it in there. But what I want to do each week is kind of address some of the popular understandings or just some of the areas that we need to deal with besides dealing with the news. An important thing is, what is Texas? Bob Wilson once told me that, Texas was a land. And I like the way that he answered that question. I may have given it to him really pointed on my first interview with him, but he said Texas was a land. And I said, okay. Now, Texas, before it was part of Mexico, was just, a wide open expanse filled with a whole bunch of indigenous people on it, right? And then Mexico, what was Mexico? Well, it was controlled by the Aztecs, okay? And before that, it was a wide group of indigenous people all over the dang place, right? So then the Aztecs move in, and then the Spanish come in, and, Spanish take over. And so the Texas story starts somewhere, at least our Texas story starts somewhere with the Spanish. Now, from what I'm told, one of the earlier presidents of the Republic, I believe it was Sam Houston, and one of the other guys had their eyes on Texas as a, free nation and maybe as something to put into the United States. I'm still working up getting that information on that bit, so we'll just leave it on the wayside. But the Spanish were sitting there wanting everything that they could get, right? They ran missions all the way up here. They asked for people from Europe to come and help, homestead the entire place. So the homesteading was really important, and, a few of the natives were, what do we say? Their ethics weren't the same as ours, and they didn't hold life to the same esteem. Not to say that the Europeans held the Native Americans' lives as, high value either. So they were mean and nasty towards each other. And the Comanches are one particular group that we're told that were hard to deal with. And I've heard some stories because, I like to listen to stories. But the Europeans came over to this land called Texas, and there's a word called Tejas too. And I don't know how that fits, if the Spanish called this Tejas or whatever. And, the Mexicans had a big revolution, and the Spanish-Mexico War, blah, blah, blah. All of a sudden, wow, man, Mexico is now a republic. So this republic went on for a short period until it was turned into a dictatorship. And, it's not really a dictatorship. I guess it was an empire. An empire is kind of like, it's kind of similar to the United States government currently today. Except I think the emperor has more controls. So in this case, Santa Anna was the emperor, and Santa Anna could, do anything he wanted. He didn't pay attention to anybody he wanted. The current democracy that exists within the United States of America, the acting president can do stuff that he wants, and the Congress and their Senate can do the same. And what do you care? Yeah, I don't know. What do you care? I know that what I care about, it isn't cared about by the U.S. government, not the corporate United States. They're more interested in, I'm not too sure. So the Republic of Mexico has fallen. It's gone. And all those Europeans are kicking it in this, chunk of land above Mexico, or at the time it was Mexico, saying no. And you had Native Americans, or what I guess they called them Mexicans at that time, working side by side, and they were friends. Go homesteading. My cow died, and can you help me? And then help each other, right? They set up and they went ahead, and allegedly we had this big battle, and all of a sudden Santa Ana surrendered. And well, the gift of surrender was that chunk of land that turned into Texas. And it turned into Texas for a little bit of time. They say that it only made 10 years. But there's a lineage beyond that I want to talk to you about. I didn't really want to go into the previous history. There's a lot said in previous history, and you can learn a lot from the previous histories, and there's a lot of touch points in there that need a lot of looking into, or at least expanding upon. The focus today is the Republic of Texas, the land of Texas. And in 2005, a reformation of what's called the Republic of Texas, currently existing at thetexasrepublic.com, came together. Now, that wasn't the first time that anything has come together. And that leads us to the Valentine's Day raid again, because misunderstandings, alleged misunderstanding by law enforcement, caused that action. But I don't know. Some say that the main reason for that raid was one sheriff was mad at this one chick, and he caused her great grief and caused everybody great grief, and all that stuff comes out in the wash. We'll keep an eye on it, because the Valentine's Day raid, it's not over yet. But bringing you back, I want to go back into the early 90s. Now, in the early 90s, and where did I put my notes on that? That's crazy. I can't do this. Yes, I can. So, there's a guy, Daniel Miller, right? Oh, no, it's not Daniel Miller. I don't want to do Daniel Miller. Yeah, actually, we are doing Daniel Miller. There's a guy named Daniel Miller, and he was one of the early people to try to bring Texas out of abeyance. Now, abeyance means, temporary holding or something like that. Now, Daniel Miller existed in the early 90s. He had a bunch of trouble in 93 and 94 and a big standoff in 97. Now, that's a huge story right in itself. And I've met people that have met Daniel Miller, or was around when Daniel Miller was around and all that other stuff, but it's not the same organization whatsoever. But it's not inherently different. People seeking freedom from the United States were around in the 90s. They're around all over the place. I was reminded of a Bloomberg poll last year that stated that 1 in 3 Texans support getting out of the United States. So sentiment's kind of high, allegedly, right? Can you trust Reuters? Was that out of context? I don't know. People, I can ask them anything, anytime. So Daniel Miller, he ends up getting, cuffed and stuffed, and God, it's not Daniel Miller. I just got my notes wrong, because Daniel Miller is a different guy. Daniel Miller was one of the early guys in the Republic of Texas, and he ended up, I guess he'd be called the first presidents after the abeyance, because the presidents went first. David G. Burnett was the first interim president, of the Republic of Texas. Next, Sam Houston. And then there was Mirabay B. Lamar. And then Houston's back in. And then everyone's favorite traitor, Anson Jones. Yeah. Oh, there's a little note on Wikipedia that he died in office on July 3rd. And, yeah, poor guy. He gave up the ghost. He gave up Texas. But the good thing was Daniel Miller, and Daniel Miller went on. He left. There was a big split in the Republic of Texas before it was officially called that. This happened somewhere around a little before 2005. Daniel Miller was part of the Republic of Texas. There was this big throw off of the Overton property deal and yada yada. The two groups split ways. Larry McDaniel ends up being the second president of the Republic of Texas as it comes out of abeyance. Now, Larry had been in a separate group, or was leading a separate group called the 10th Congress. I've tried really hard to find history on this. I'm probably on my second year of looking and asking people who was the 10th Congress and who was Larry McDaniel. It's kind of important because, well, he was the second. He was another provisional president. It wasn't actually an acting president. There's quite a bit of a difference. In order to be the president, you have to have House, Senate, Congress, all that good stuff. Now, as we move into the Republic of Texas around 2005, everything came back together, they kind of merged, for lack of a better term, with the 10th Congress. Now, with that, the first president was in place, and you had a House, you had Senate, and you had judiciary, and you had executive. Every position was full to pull it out of the provisional status, and Larry Hughes ends up being the first, third presidents after it, third after it comes out of abeyance. We'd have to say, when did it come out of abeyance? And I'm going to say Daniel Miller. If I'm wrong, my email is steve@thetexasrepublic.com. Tell me who you think the first president of the Republic of Texas was as it came out of abeyance. I want to know. Am I wrong? Because this is what I've found out, guys. This guy named Larry Hughes. And following that, each president in the Republic of Texas, or in the executive session, they do 3 years. So each president will do about 3, and Larry did 3, and then Jerry Lahr came in. Now, I've had the pleasure of actually hearing Jerry Lahr speak. I didn't know what the Republic of Texas was previously. But man, that guy has some interesting thoughts. He didn't do very much time as president of the Republic of Texas. The folks at the U.S. government had some kind of a beef with him, and cuff and stuff, and there he goes. He's off and running. That left Richard Perkins to be the longest serving man consecutively as the president of the Republic of Texas. At the time that Jerry Lahr went to jail, Richard Perkins was the vice president. He had to step up, and he did the remaining 2 years of Jerry Lahr's time, as well as running for an additional year. Then we come up to where we currently sit within the Republic of Texas when John Jarnecke takes the realm and tries to deal with stuff. When he came out of the gate rather well. He's been going into an interesting place, and I'm glad to have known him through this adventure. It's a wonderful thing seeing Texas coming back together again, and I hope you stick around to see the rest of it, to see where we go from here. Next week we'll be, on live again, Sunday night. It'll be, what time are we doing this? 7 o'clock Texas time. You can visit our stuff on the internet at fbglive.com, and I encourage you to go to therepublicoftexas.com so you can learn more about the Republic of Texas. You guys have a great evening. Take care.
our best intentions, I wish I'd pay attention. It's like you said, it's in my head. We can run circles till the morning comes. When it does, I know it's done. It's you and I. Wouldn't miss it for the summertime. Wouldn't miss it for the suicide. Wouldn't miss it for the
We now join America's most popular show, already in progress. Everybody loves Hypnotoad.
You must listen. Listen. FBG Live.